Only 2% of all players reach Ultimate Champion every season, and only 31 people reach it with Xbow. Today I was able to reach the esteemed league with an amazing 90% win rate. I used 3.0 Xbow Cycle, my favorite deck in the game, and in this video, my goal is to teach you the best tips and tricks for you to have success with Xbow Cycle from my unmatched mastery playing the deck. Alright, what's going on everyone? We got our first match against Zach, and today we are back with more of the usual, a monthly affair. We are in Royal Champion League, and today we'll be pushing to Ultimate Champion with 3.0 Xbow Cycle. I'll be teaching you all of my best tips and tricks with this deck, how to succeed, how to beat hard counters, all of the sauce. So I'm going to start this out with an Xbow behind the King Tower because my opponent goes for a Muskie the back, and honestly I don't want to push into that, nor do I really want to go opposite because I feel like it's a bit too aggressive and risky, so building up from the King is honestly a pretty solid play with this deck. Just going to take the Musketeer out for cheap, and I think he's going to go for a cannon. Yeah, so let's go for a Fireball, try and get an Xbow lock right here if we can. E-Spirit does predict those skeletons successfully, so hopefully we can get at least one tick. Okay, we do get one hit on the tower. I mean, okay, we actually get two. That's more than just a baby Xbow lock. We do get 2 hits on the tower, so Xbow is going to be putting in quite a lot of work. Unfortunately, 2.6 Hog, one of the more annoying matchups for this deck because they always outcycle you, and right there he actually did outcycle me, so I have to go for the Knight Archers real fast just to DPS it down. But I think we're going to be pretty fine and well. You know, this is one of the most long-standing history type matchups with this game, 3.0 Xbow versus 2.6 Hog. Many people say it's pretty close to 50-50. I would say honestly it is pretty close to 50-50, but we'll see. I do know a bunch of special tricks to get past this match. I'm going to go for my Evo Xbow behind the King again. Same principle, just building up a push from the back, and I want to get my Tesla ready in case he goes for the Hog Rider, because honestly, I know he's going to be super aggressive in single. That's what all the Hog players do. I have my Fireball ready for the cannon again. I'm actually going to try and Fireball the Musketeer this time. Does get an Evo Muskie and an Evo Ice, so, I mean, Evo Xbow is unfortunately not going to do anything. It's pretty unfortunate I didn't get too much out of that, but on the bright side, you know, we forced out both of their evolutions, so I feel like that's not necessarily a bad thing. And since he's being so aggressive with his hogs, we're just kind of constantly getting momentum in our favor because we're not falling behind on the defenses. Now, you know, we're in double, and I feel like things are going pretty good for us. We're kind of up Elixir right now. And again, you can see I haven't really gone for any aggressive Xbows. I'm just kind of biding my time, being patient, building up Xbow pushes from the back. I truly feel that's the way to go in this matchup, at least. You know, now I've saved enough Elixir so I can go for a Knight to protect the Xbow from maybe a Musketeer, and let's go for the cannon. Let's go for our Evo Archers to snipe the cannon and get a second Xbow right here. Dual lane pressure is definitely going to be really hard for my opponent to deal with. E-Spirit does predict the skeletons, and that's going to be 2 Xbows, guys. I think we're going to get a double lock in a second here. Yep, we do get the double Xbow lock. Going to be pretty devastating for my opponent to deal with, so this is just going to be really nice, although the Evo Ice Spirit does a really good job at just shutting everything down on defense. But I mean, we have a really good lead in both lanes, and my opponent fireballs the King. I do not know if that was to kill my archers or if he just gave up. I guess he just gave up, right? Wow. So just like that, guys, that is how we beat 2.6 Hog, one of the most, again, historical matchups with Xbow Cycle. All you have to do is build up Xbows from the back, support your push as well, and dual lane pressure. Alright, we got a game against King Sobhan, TV Iranian, gonna give him the good luck. Let's see what's going on. So, you know, Xbow in a very weak spot right now. I feel like this deck has constantly just been on the chopping block by Supercell. Every new card they release counters Xbow, and so we really just have to come up with counterplay as Xbow players. You know, just now I taught you how to beat one of the most historical matchups in the game, 2.6 Hog. I hope to teach you more off-meta and especially hard counter matchups. Honestly, my opponent's not doing anything, so I'm just going to go for an Xbow in the back. I feel like this is one of the best plays that not a lot of players make these days because you can just build something up from the back. And if you just go Xbow at the bridge, it's going to work, but I mean, you're 6 Elixir down, and if you're even on Elixir with your opponent, it's just going to be a bit too aggressive, I would say. I mean, it's not necessarily bad, it's just a little bit too spicy. You're going to go for the Fireball, though. Speaking of spicy, that is a beautiful Fireball on the Eggsy and Ice Wiz. We will get an Xbow lock. We get 1, 2, give me a third one. Come on, we get a third Xbow hit on the tower. Maybe even 4. Yo, 4 Xbow hits is huge. And it's going to be giant graveyard, guys. Oh my goodness. I'm going to go for the archers for the graveyard. As they do get arrows off, I'll have to go for a late log to clean up those stray skeletons lingering around after the archers got taken out. But we have a really nice lead because, again, the Xbow from the back, Xbow behind the King, is honestly a really solid play. By the way, I think I won't really be using too many defensive Xbows today, just because I don't think defensive Xbows get too much value in this meta. I mean, I'd much rather just go for a Tesla, honestly. So gonna go Xbow in the corner this time. This is similar principle to Xbow behind the king, but it's just a little bit closer. So it just kind of depends on your Elixir. I suspect pretty heavily that I'm up Elixir right now, so I kind of just want to build up a big push and kind of punish him. Let's go for the fireball and the barbs before they take out my Xbow. Too badly, that's a really good fireball on the barbs and Eggsy. You can see I've been getting a lot of good fireball value, which is a true crucial element of this deck. And we get a 3-hit Xbow lock again. That is actually such a huge Xbow lock. And that's basically going to be game if I can just defend for the rest of the match. I mean, Giant Graveyard, not going to be easy by any means. I'm honestly tempted to go for a defensive Xbow, but again, I just really don't think it's that good in this climate and in this meta. So I think I'll just keep cycling my cards and go for a defensive Xbow list defense. I'll just go for the Tesla stack, you know, Knight stack, get a great fireball on defense there, and then I can get my archers down. Okay, not the greatest fireball, to be honest, but again, I've saved my archers for defense. He's going to go for the arrows in a sec, but we really did a great job at cleaning all of that up. He goes for the late arrows, but they're exactly that. They're pretty late, and so I can just go for the late log myself, clean everything up. And honestly, we are just destroying Giant Graveyard right now. Honestly, guys, this is one of the hardest matchups in the whole game for Xbow Cycle, and we made it look like light work. So if you guys, again, want experience and tips with this deck, I would say Xbows from the back, build the pushes up, and just kind of try and outcycle them in single, get that punish going, and that's how you beat a complete hard counter. Alright, we got our next game against JC. He's playing Dagger Duchess, so it could be some kind of nonsensical beatdown deck. You know, there have been a lot of ridiculous decks with Duchess recently. Giant Lightning, MK, but it's actually going to be Mortar, and I'm going to go for the Tesla for the Mortar. And wow, speaking of nonsense, that's going to lock right onto the tower. I guess I wasn't really expecting that weird Mortar placement, so the Tesla is not going to take the targeting of the Mortar, but no worries, just one hit. It's not really a big deal. And again, you guys know my bread and butter, in this meta at least. We're going to go Xbow behind the king once more. I've already kind of explained it, but it's basically just to conserve Elixir. You know, you go Xbow at the bridge, it's 6 Elixir down the drain, you're not even going to get too much out of it because you have no supporting troops. But you go Xbow behind the king, all of a sudden you have time to build up a big push supporting your Xbow. It's going to be much more beneficial, I would say, than just kind of dumping your Elixir at the bridge and hoping it works out. Unfortunately, speaking of working out, that Duchess is going to be putting in so much work. 0 Xbow hits on the tower there because it's just so overpowered at high burst DPS, but I actually can get back to a second Xbow. Going to go for the Xbow behind the Knight, and I feel like this is actually going to get quite a lot of value. He goes for the Demolisher, probably back to the Mortar too. I'm actually going to Fireball on the Demolisher because I want that extra source of DPS out. Let's E-Spirit immediately for those bats, and that is going to be 1. Give me one more. Come on, we get 2 beautiful Xbow hits on the tower, so kind of a mini Xbow lock, but I'll take it. You know, we are now up about 1,000, and so, you know, I've been talking about that play that I love to make Xbow behind the King Tower because it helps you conserve Elixir, but there is a secondary advantage that should not be overlooked, which is that you can outcycle their counters. You know, you go Xbow behind the King, they're going to defend it pretty late, then you can go for a second Xbow much sooner than they'd expect because you're just cycling back to your Xbow after having some time to build it up, and it's going to be very beneficial. So going to go for a log on this. He's going to get quite a bit of damage. Unfortunately, this is going to be a really tough siege mirror matchup. Xbow versus Mortar usually is pretty tough for Xbow, I would say. You know, Mortar is just a better Xbow in every way. 4 Elixir versus 6, but we'll do our best. I'm honestly going to take that fireball value every time that I can. I believe he should be back to Evo Mortar pretty soon, so that's going to be a bit annoying, but I think I'll be okay. Let's go for a Tesla for the Skelly Barrel, log on the Goblin Gang, and he does have to go for a Mortar for this Xbow. It's going to get a couple of hits on the tower, I hope. Yes, we will get 1 pretty big hit. I'll just go for a nice Fireball, I think, on all of that. Wow, that is beautiful Fireball value. Honestly, guys, a skill that I cannot underrate when playing this deck is spell value. Let me also make sure to go for a Tesla far off in the corner so that Mortar does not bypass it and lock onto the tower again. But yes, one of the biggest fundamentals of this deck is definitely going to be good spell value, especially fireballs, because it's honestly going to be really tough to break through when you don't have adequate spell support. When they have, you know, barbarians, when they have a push like that, the Mortar, Rascals, plus any other support troops all in one lane. So really what you want to do is make the most of your fireball and get some good value, and that way you can kind of force ways to break through and find advantages in ways that you might not be able to otherwise. Let's go Eastward to break the bats. Beautiful fireball, by the way, on the Demolisher and Mortar. Again, keeping true with what I told you guys. And that's actually just going to straight up be tower down. Xbow's whittling away at his tower. That is a huge Xbow lock. GG's absolutely destroyed the Xbow versus Mortar. Alright, we're into our next match against A. Los Alois. Okay, I do not really know how to say that name, but unfortunately I was not really ready for the Dark Goblin. I was wishing him luck. I guess he's going to sacrifice honor for Dark Goblin at the bridge, but it's fine. Going to go Expo behind the king. Basically first play, but in a way it's a 3 Elixir Expo. And wow, this guy has a mini P.E.K.K.A. Okay, that is not what I like to see. That's going to be a huge counter to the Expo. But I'll go Skellies to distract it, log the skeleton army as well, E-Spirit for that Goblin gang, and let's see if we can get any kind of luck here. We'll get 1 Expo tick on the tower. It's not much, but it's honest work. Baby Expo lock, and that is such an aggressive arrows, dude. I swear he's low in Elixir. I think I want to go Expo at the bridge, honestly, because, I mean, how is he getting away with this? This might be an actual time to go Expo bridge, guys, because, you know, sometimes Elixir counting, card cycle counting does come into play. How are you back to mini P.E.K.K.A.? That's actually absurd, but we should get a bit of a luck. Let's go Skellies, and yo, look at that beautiful micro. The Evo Expo pushes the mini P.E.K.K.A. away from it onto my skeletons at the bridge. That was such a nice clutch play, and we're going to get a couple more extra hits for our trouble. So definitely really beautiful micro. Honestly, guys, micro defense, one of the most important aspects of any good Expo cycle player. Another one is fast reaction time, and right there we reacted to the Dark Goblin, did not let it get away with this nonsense. Going to be a very nice, immediate, instantaneous log. Let's also take this fireball value. Honestly, King Tower is going to be very crucial at taking extra help on defense, and you would like to get it if possible, but my cycle was kind of messed up, so I just wanted to take the free King Tower, or take the free fireball rather, as opposed to the King Tower in that instance. But hopefully at some point in this match I can get the king up against that firecracker. So this is going to be Mega Knight bait. Wow, I know a lot of you guys struggle with Expo against mid-ladder menaces, and Mega Knight is no such exception. In fact, if anything, he's kind of the poster child of mid-ladder. So today I would like to show you guys how to beat Mega Knight with Expo cycles. So I think Expo behind the king again is pretty smart. I did do an Expo at the bridge, like I said before I got interrupted by something, you know, my random ADHD train of thought. You do want to go for Expos at the bridge at the right times. You don't just want to spam them. Like I said, I've been really careful, cautious. I've been going Expos behind the king for the most part to build my pushes up. But you do want to go for Expos at the bridge to punish them when they're low on Elixir, or when they have an awkward card cycle, and that is one such case that I was able to utilize when they were low on Elixir earlier. Got a big Expo lock for my troubles. And honestly, he has a lot of counters to Expo in this deck. You know, he has the mini P.E.K.K.A., which is a big one. He has the Evo MK, which I don't really understand how I'm ever going to break through that, honestly. Especially because it's just going to knock my Expo and all my troops back. It's going to be so frustrating, actually. Look at this, guys. Mega Knight actually knocking back an Expo. I don't know how it's balanced that a Mega Knight can knock a building back. I don't think anyone was really thinking when they implemented this card, because I feel like if they were, it never would have become a thing, you know. But anyways, Mega Knight haters unite. Gonna go for a fireball and Skellies to maybe retarget the mini P.E.K.K.A. No such luck, but we do still force out a lot of stuff, and we can just go cycle back to our log if we need it on defense here, and that's going to be no damage taken. So this is honestly a very tough battle of the wills, but we are holding off just barely, you know, on up by about 1,000 or so HP right here. It might not be very easy to get an Expo lock, unfortunately, because again, he just has so many counters, and he's just going to keep resetting with Mega Knight at the back, all sorts of support in the back. At the same time, though, I kind of want to go for Expos, because that's just kind of my... I'm actually going to show you guys a little bit of a trick here. That's kind of my specialty, aggressive Expos. I'm a pretty aggressive Expo player. But Expo in the left, as you can see, we spent 6, and we forced out a mini P.E.K.K.A. and Dark Goblin while getting a mini Expo lock, so not necessarily the worst case, and sometimes that's exactly what the Expo cycle archetype is about. Instead of going for aggressive Expos all the time, what you want to go for is Expo just to distract and force Elixir out, so that the opponent cannot build up a big push, and just like that you're going to be able to force stuff out and prevent them from stacking everything in one lane. That's exactly what I did there, forcing out the mini P.E.K.K.A. and Dark Goblin, and just like that, it was a pretty useful Expo, I would say. Now that Firecracker is also being very useful, just kind of demolishing my tower, but I'll get a log back, we'll get a second Tesla down to kill that Firecracker. Might need to fireball this evolved one if I can. Let's see. I think we can. I think I will take the fireball. I think it's going to be 30 seconds left, guys. No more opportunities for Xbows. We'll actually go for my first defense Exo of the day here. Just because it's a Mega Knight, it's a huge push. I want to defend, so I think a Debo is actually the right call in that instance. So first defensive Expo. Honestly, guys, it's been quite a few games since I ever went for one, but I think in the right instance, it definitely can be a good play. So let's go for an Expo just to force stuff out at the last minute, and then we can just defend and fireball him out at the very last second. We do not get a last minute Expo tick, but we do get a clutch win against Mega Knight Mini P.E.K.K.A. Certainly not an easy match in any universe, but that is how you beat mid-ladder Mega Knight Menaces with Expo Cycle. Alright, we got a game against Newgate here. Let's see what he's going to be running. Going to give him the good luck, and I'm going to be trying to reach Ultimate Champion, guys. We are getting awfully close, I believe. We should be 2 or 3 games off Ultimate Champion now with Expo Cycle, so gonna be doing my best, of course. You see a baby dragon here, could be a bunch of things. Inferno Dragon 2, okay, wow, if I had to guess, my best guess would be Lumber Loon. At the same time, though, he does have a chef, which I haven't seen too often, so I'm not gonna really be too narrow with my ideas yet. Let's go for an Expo at the bridge, just find out, and he goes for an E-Golem at the back. Wow, okay, so it's gonna be Elixir Golem, guys. Wow, Expo versus E-Golem. I think I should take his entire tower. The question is, will he take my entire tower? And I feel like he very well could, because this is not gonna be an easy push to defend, dude. We have an E-Golem, a Battle Healer, a Night Witch with bats creeping up. I mean, this is going to be kind of chaotic, to say the least. Gonna get a beautiful fireball off on defense if I can here in a second here. Let's try and get the blobs, plus at least 2 of those support troops. Let's get a log as well. I actually think we defended that very nicely. That Battle Healer is going to be a pain, but otherwise, I think we will survive. Let's go Skellies to DPS down the E-Golem even quicker. And the E-Drag will get taken out. But dude, that Battle Healer is just going crazy, huh? I'm going to go Expo in the pocket, actually, because he spent so much Elixir on offense there. I feel like I will sacrifice my right side tower just to get a huge lead in the left. And that is going to be a huge lead. That's going to be like 6 Expo bolts on the tower. Huge Expo lot coming in. And now we are up a bit over 2,000 in the left, so really, really nice stuff. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with the way this worked out. Honestly, you guys always hear this, and it's kind of true. Expo is by no means a tower trading deck. It does not succeed when you have a tower trade situation. It's obviously much more efficient to go 1-1. At the end of the day, you do what you gotta do. And this guy went E-Golem all in. I just could not defend. Decided to punish him. Speaking of punishing, let's go for an Expo behind this Knight because we have a Knight supporting. Counter pushing, like I said, you can go Expo the bridge if you have support troops helping out. And that is going to be tower down, but he has a huge counter push now. So I'm going to try and teach you guys how to win with Expo in a tower trade situation. Going to go for the Evo Archers early. Let's get a huge fireball off. That is 4 troops getting fireball. That is like 16 Elixir of stuff with 1 fireball, and everything just melted. That is unbelievably satisfying, guys. I cannot believe it. And so right there, we're going to be able to just go for the Expo in the pocket again. Try and 3 crown, which you never really see. You know, Expo is by no means a 3 crown type deck, but I think he's unironically about to get 3 crown because this is just craziness. Let's go for a second Expo. Cycling really fast. I can't believe it, guys. This guy genuinely got unironically 3 crown by Expo. That's actually absurd. But what can I say? That is destruction against Elixir Golem. Don't know what to say other than GG, well played. Alright, we got our final game for Ultimate Champion against Taptics. I am not going to let someone from Dirty Pack get in the way of me and my Ultimate Champion with Expo Cycle. And we see a Lumberjack. Could this be Lumber Loon? Yes, it is. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's go Archers. We have to cycle all the way back to a Tesla. That's going to be so awkward, but I mean, he goes for the arrows too. Are you serious? That actually might be a Loon drop. I have to go E-Spirit just to be safe. I feel like that genuinely would have been a Loon hit if I didn't E-Spirit that. That's actually crazy, man. How do you get away with that? But since he goes for a Knight, I'm thinking I could either go Knight to defend the Knight, or I could go for a more aggressive and possibly huge initiative with this Expo here to pull the Knight back and also get a counter push. Let's see. He has a cage. Okay. And bats. Okay, so this is going to be a very frustrating matchup, I suspect. I know a lot of you guys struggle against Lumber Loon, and I honestly do too sometimes. It's going to be very annoying when they go Lumber Loon first play, and you have an awkward starting hand, so you end up being down like 5 Elixir. It's kind of exactly what happened to me right here, but I'll do my best to see if I can kind of control the pace of the match. Wow, Evo Lumberjack here is going to be a pain, but at least we didn't get starting handed this time. Our cycle is kind of fixed, so you can go for a Tesla in the correct placement at least, and that should be sort of beneficial. I mean, Evo Lumberjack Ghost is going to get so much value. It's ridiculous, but we're actually okay. We did defend that pretty well. And again, we have our cycle fixed for all subsequent Lumberloon pushes, so I think we should be okay, even though this is kind of a frustrating situation right here. Honestly, I'm going to go Expo behind the king because he goes for a knight. I kind of want to let the knight cross the bridge instead of pushing into the knight. I don't want to go opposite lane either because I would still have to respond to the knight as well. So I feel like this is kind of the best play to make. And he does have an Evo cage, so it's going to be very annoying. And that's going to kind of fully shut down my Expo without much counterplay on my end. So I feel like this is honestly a pretty good way to try and get initiative going. Let's go for Esprit for those bats, and hope we can get a bit of an Expo lock. Evo Archer should melt his support troops, and he will get one. Give me another one, come on, and we get two. Beautiful, 2 Expo hits on the tower. Baby Expo lock, if you will, and that's going to put us in the lead. Let's go Expo right away to pressure while defending. He goes for the aggressive balloon push, but I'm just going to kind of pressure Esprit to predict the bats right here, and we do not get that off, but that would have been so beautiful if we did. I still stand by the play. We also get a very nice double Expo bolt connection again, so we're just kind of whittling his tower down with Expos over time. It's working out pretty well. That Lumberjack Ghost is going to be a pain. I have a feeling he's about to go balloon behind this. He's actually not. Yes, he was. Okay, I should have trusted my gut instincts, but I can just go for the Tesla to DPS everything down, and we're kind of chilling, honestly. This is not really something I'm very upset or concerned about. He does have an Evo cage, which is probably my biggest concern. I'm going to go knight to predict the Evo cage and just kind of block the Expo from getting targeted by that. I can also get a huge fireball on defense if I need to, or rather on offense to break through stuff. There is the Evo cage. We're going to log it off to try and prevent it from whittling my entire Expo down. We do get one beautiful bolt on the tower again. So like I said, Expo in some instances is just going to be a battle of chip. And wow, okay, wow, that lightning is going to be such a crazy lightning. And he gets a loon drop too. That is huge. I was not ready for that. I genuinely was not ready. So this dude literally has lightning plus arrows. Has to be one of the biggest counters I've ever seen, to be honest. But we can hopefully still win in this insane counter match, man. We do get one Evo Archer on the tower. That's going to be 2 power shots. Expo's getting on the tower as well. That's going to be fireball range, and that is going to be good game. We beat a complete hard counter, guys. Lumberloon, Evo Lumberjack, lightning arrows. That is ridiculous. But if you guys want to know how to beat Lumberloon with Expo Cycle, that is how it's done. And that is going to be a 90% win rate to Ultimate Champion with Expo Cycle. So honestly, what I would consider a godlike win rate, I will certainly take a screenshot of that, because that is just beautiful. And that is how it's done, ladies and gentlemen. Ultimate Champion once more with Expo Cycle. Hope you enjoyed.